Good day, everyone. This is Miss Jai, and we are going to talk about how to write a report. Okay, so in this lesson, let us answer the following questions. First, let's get to know once again what is a report. Although I already discussed this with you, but let me give you a sort of recap. Next to that, what is the relevance of report writing? And then, what are the characteristics of a report? And lastly, what is the pre-writing process in writing a report, which may be referred to as the preliminary steps to writing a report. Let's begin. First, let's have what is a report. We now know that reports are a part of our lives, right? Starting from school reports, through the news reports that we saw on TV and radio. So many kinds of reports we are required to submit in the course of our work or our daily life. And it can be a description of an event by a person who witnessed it to somebody else who was not actually present on the scene. Basically, it can be a description of the conditions that do exist, or that are likely to exist. Essentially, a report is a short, sharp, concise document which is written for a particular purpose and audience. But do we already know the importance or relevance of report writing? Now, this leads us to the second question. What are the relevance of report writing? Now, the purpose of which reports are written vary widely, and it is important to know them when you are going to write a report. But let's get to know how important reports is in a day-to-day basis. These are just a few, and actually there are a lot of reasons as to why we should write a report. The first one is report as a means of internal communication. A report acts as an effective means of communication within the organization. It provides feedback to the employees, and it is prepared for the information and guidance of others connected with a matter or problem. Next to that is report facilitates decision-making and planning. Now, report provides reliable data, which can be used in the planning and decision-making process. It acts as a treasure house of reliable information for long-term planning and decision-making. Next to that, reports provide or discloses unknown information. Now, reports provides us information which may not be known previously. Let's say, for example, the committee members collect data, draw conclusions, and provide information which will be the new to all concerned parties. Now, reports, basically, it provides us information which is not known previously, right? Now, even new business opportunities are visible through unknown information available in the reports. And the next one is reports develop certain skills in the writer. I guess this is the last relevance of report that I can show you. Now, reports not only help organizations but also help the writer to develop certain skills such as the ability to organize, to evaluate, and to communicate with greater accuracy. So those are the relevance of report writing. Now let's proceed to the characteristics of a report. First, a report should be precise. Now, effective reports clearly reflect their purpose. Now, while putting together a report, your investigation analysis and recommendations should be directed to the central message or the central purpose of your report. Now, precision, it gives unity and coherence to your report and makes it a valuable document. Aside from that, your report should contain factual detail. Now, your report should be very detailed and factual. The point of your report is to go into details, the kind of details your specific audience needs, And the scientific accuracy of facts is very essential to a good report, since if your report contains factual details invariably, or not factual details at all, it may lead to something. If your report contains inaccurate facts, it may lead to disastrous decisions or disastrous content in your report. Next, we have relevant. Now, a report should be relevant. Now, the facts presented in a report should not only be accurate, but also relevant. Why? Because irrelevant facts make a report confusing. Exclusion of relevant facts renders it incomplete and is likely to mislead your audience. We also have reader-oriented. A good report is always reader-oriented. Now, while drafting a report, it is necessary to keep in mind the person who is going to read your report. And lastly, objectivity of recommendations. If recommendations are made at the end of a report, they must be impartial and objective. They should come as a logical conclusion to investigate and analyze your report. To investigation and to analysis. They must not reveal any self-interest or opinion on the part of the writer. So those are some of the characteristics of a report. And now that we know about those, let us proceed now on how to plan your report as part of writing a report. Okay, so let's proceed to the last question. What is the pre-writing process in writing a report? Now, before you actually begin to draft a report, you need to undertake various tasks, which may be referred to as the preliminary steps to writing a report. In fact, the planning stage is the most crucial one. If the planning is done in a detailed manner, there are a few chances of errors creeping in at the final stage. In fact, if you planning for a report is as important as the process of writing itself. Okay, so now, here are the various steps involved in report planning. The following are: first, understanding the purpose and scope, analyzing the audience, investigating the sources of information, organizing the material, and making an outline. Now, before I proceed or explain to you one by one, let me reiterate again what is pre-writing. When we say pre-writing, it is a preparation process that you can complete before you actually write your paper or your report. Okay, so let's have the purpose and scope. First, we have to understand the scope and purpose of our reports. When we say the purpose, it is the objective of your study. It enables you to decide whatever the reason why you are writing that particular report. And as for the scope, the extent of coverage. Now, it enables you to decide the amount or the method of data to be collected, or the quality and quantity of the information to be included in the report, and also the methodology to be adopted in analyzing the situation and analyzing at a solution. Depending on the type of a report to be written, there is bound to be a difference in the definition of the problem and the purpose, but it is essential to really know the purpose and scope, or the limit of your report, to avoid misunderstanding and chaos. Again, these two, the purpose and the scope, it enables us to decide the amount or the limitations of our report. Now let's have the audience, or analyzing the audience. For most technical writers, audience is the most important consideration in planning, writing, and reviewing a document. Now, in the audience, the lack of audience analysis also and adaptation is one of the root causes why most of the problems you can find. It is, the main root as to why there are a lot of problems you can find in some of the professional and technical documents, particularly while writing instructions where inadequacies surface most glaringly. Okay, so you adapt your writing to meet the needs, interest, and background of the readers who will be reading your writing. Now, one of the first things to do when you analyze an audience is to identify its types. There are 3 types of audience, or these types are rarely just one type, but in general, the audience can be categorized into 3 types as discussed. First, we have the experts. These are the people who know the theory and the product inside and out. Basically, they designed it, they already tested it, they know everything about it. Often, they have advanced degrees and operate in academic settings or in research and development areas of the government and business worlds. Now, we also have the executives. These are the people who make business, economic, administrative, legal, governmental, and political decisions on the matter that the experts and technicians work with. Now, if it is a new product, they decide whether that product will go to produce and market it. Okay? Now, another one is for the executives, if it is a new power technology, they decide whether the city should implement it. So, executives may sometimes have as little technical knowledge about the subject as non-specialists. Now, what is a non-specialist? So, this is the 3rd category of the audience, or the 3rd type of an audience. Now, aside from analyzing the type of audience, you are going to write for. There are so many ways to do so, but those are just a few. So those are the 3 types or categories of audience. And investigating the sources of information. The important means of collecting data for your report are, first, we have the library search. This includes reference to standard reference books and past as well as current issues of newspapers, trade publications, research journals, and magazines, and many more. Another type of source of information is your personal observation. Observation is saying with a purpose. Okay? Personal observation is used as a method of data collection for securing first-hand information for your reports. Now, while observing personally, you not only observe, but also form a mental impression of what you have perceived. In other words, your observation appeals to your senses. And lastly, we have questionnaires. One of the best methods of collecting primary information is to ask people with relevant experience, known as the survey. Now, when prepared and conducted properly, surveys can tell you what a cross-section of people think about a given topic. Now, a survey is reliable if it produces identical result when repeated. Now, a survey is valid if it measured what is intended to be measured. Okay? So, once again, you have gathered everything. Once you have gathered everything from the purpose and scope, the audience, and then the sources of information, then that's the time you will organize your material, and eventually you may start making your outline. So those are the pre-writing processes. And then, before I end this lesson, let us have a recap first. What is a report? Now, it is a description of an event by a person who witnessed it to somebody else who was not actually present on the scene. And there are 4 relevance of report. We also discussed the characteristic of a report. It should be precise, factual, detailed, relevant, reader and objective, and the writing processes, pre-writing processes. So there you go. Those are the things you have to keep in mind as you write a report. That's all for our lesson. I hope you learned something from me today. And once again, this is your teacher, Teacher Jai. Thank you and see you again.